Here's a harsh truth that nobody wants to admit. Losing fat is not all sunshine and rainbows. And if you don't have the right expectations going into it, you might be surprised by what it's really like. So in this video, I'm gonna share a few of the lesser known challenges that come along with losing a lot of weight that you should keep an eye out for if you wanna be successful with this. Now, the first one will help you lose a lot of fat or get properly lean if you know it's coming. In my most recent fat loss diet, I felt it big time. My girlfriend Jay and I were sitting on this couch right here, and my stomach just started growling so loudly that we both looked at each other and laughed. I was hungry, not bored, not stressed, properly physically hungry. My stomach was actually starting to hurt a little bit even. The problem was that I couldn't eat any more calories for the day if I wanted to stay on track with my goals. Yeah, I could have gone and chewed some sugar-free gum, made myself a decaf coffee, or had a diet soda to help myself out a bit, but it really wouldn't have done all that much. So I skipped it. And we finished watching our Japanese onsen walkthrough videos that we love. The big idea here is that it's going to be hard sometimes, whether that's due to hunger or social events or falling off track with your diet or your workouts or stress from work and life and just feeling overwhelmed or depression, anxiety, ADHD, or any other mental health struggle you might have. If you can't deal with those difficulties, you just won't get very close to your fat loss goals. The moment things get tough, you'll find yourself backsliding, snacking, giving into your cravings, and just giving up on your whole plan only to start over again at square one or square minus one in a few months. So here are some strategies I've used with my clients to help them overcome those challenging moments and stay on track. The first is to use appetite management strategies, because if you're super hungry all the time, you let your appetite go out of control, you are going to have a very difficult time sticking to a calorie deficit. If you are constantly craving junk food and sweets and you're never satisfied between meals, you are playing fat loss on hard mode. I'm gonna make a more detailed video all about appetite management here shortly, but what you need to know is that high fiber, filling, low calorie density foods should be your priority, and to stay away from problem foods if you just can't have them in the house. Secondly, you'll want to look for tiny wins wherever you can, because the more you seek that positive affirmation that what you're doing is working, the more you start finding opportunities to find more of them. Even if you're on a trip, let's say, and it's not an ideal situation for weight loss, maybe you find some convenience foods in the airport, or you get your steps in while you're waiting for your flight. You get a protein shake in, you track your calories, or you get a workout in the hotel. This is really best encapsulated by the dimmer switch idea. Instead of going on off with your goals, you just go from 10 to 7. Find ways to just dial it back a little bit. Now, the next one I like to think about is just zooming out and starting fresh. When you realize that one day, 1 week, or even 1 month of being off track, or 1 year of being off track with your goals isn't actually that big of a deal when we look at it in the grand scheme of how much life you have left, it's a lot easier to move on from those things and not dwell on it and beat yourself up. Even if things have not been perfect for a day, a week, a month, a year, you can always just zoom out and be like, well, fuck. How much progress have I made before this, leading up to it? Am I already down 15 pounds? Okay, that's amazing. And how much more opportunity do I have after this to keep on cooking? And the last thing I think is just acceptance. When things are hard, you are hungry, sometimes you just have to come to terms with it. Be like, all right, you know what? I'm feeling a little hungry today, or I'm fucking tired today. I'm sore. I don't want to do this. I have a lot on my plate. You just have to bring that shit on board and realize that this difficulty you are experiencing is a lot of the reason why people just don't succeed. And by doing things differently and doing it even though it's hard, you are delineating yourself, not just from other people and getting ahead or being better than other people. That's not what it's about. But if you think of a shadow self or another version of you that's going on this pathway, when things get hard, that other self gives up and veers off and they go down their own path. You are choosing a new path. When you accept that things are difficult and do it anyways, you create this whole new series of events for yourself. But this next challenge is the thing that's going to have the single biggest impact on your self-confidence and body image after losing a lot of weight. And it's important to understand how it works, because if you don't, you're gonna waste a lot of time and money trying to fix it. The air in this balloon is the fat on your body. This sock is your skin, right? Your skin holds your fat cells inside. If I blow this balloon up really big, it'll stretch out this sock, right? But if I deflate the balloon, the sock will still be a little bit stretched out. Over time, it will return back to its normal state. And this is exactly how losing fat works. That's because fat loss can happen a lot faster than your skin can contract. And in some cases, your skin may never fully return to its previous state if you lose a lot of fat. But there's some things you can do to make sure you deal with loose skin in the best way possible. It's probably best to avoid extreme weight loss where you're losing more than something like 1.5% of your body weight each week. And secondly, it's worth training for muscle growth while you lose the weight so that you have something that fills out that skin a little bit more firmly and nicely once the fat is gone. Thirdly, there will be a period of 1 or maybe even 2 years after you've lost the weight where your skin continues to contract. Fourthly, general skincare like using sunscreen, moisturizer is at least probably a little bit beneficial just to keep your healthy skin. And lastly, I think there's really just not much outside of surgery that can meaningfully alter how much loose skin you have after losing a ton of weight. Your age, how much weight you gained, your genetics, those things are all the primary factors that are going to determine how much loose skin you have. Now, this next insight's for the guys with lots of fat to lose, and also for the guys who just want to be a little bit leaner and see their abs for the first time or stop being skinny fat. Here's a video of me looking like I'm in decent shape, right? I honestly thought that if I just lost 10 pounds of fat, I'd be shredded. Abs, all the rest of it. But nope, I had to lose a lot more to really get as ripped as I wanted to. Just like from here, where I didn't expect to have to lose over 50 pounds to get properly lean. The harsh truth here is that you have a lot more fat to lose than you think. So don't be surprised if your end weight on the scale is much lower than you expected, and it takes a little longer than you planned. Just start by losing something like 5 to 10% of your body weight as an initial goal, and then you can reevaluate based on where you're at. That's substantial enough that you're gonna see solid visible progress. Like a lot of people in your life are gonna notice and say, holy shit, what have you been doing? It's not gonna take you more than, a few months to lose. And then you can take a little break if you want. You can push for some more fat loss later if you feel like you still need it. But here's a tough pill to swallow that derails a lot of guys on their weight loss journey when they first encounter it. And if you don't see it coming, you'll probably give up before you get as lean as you want to be. This sponge is your muscles, and this water is carbohydrates. When you eat carbs, your muscles store some carbohydrates. It's called glycogen. That's why when people do keto or low carb diets, they see a big weight loss right away in the first week. But there's something else that goes on here too. When your muscles are fully saturated with those stored carbs, that glycogen, you look fuller, denser, and more muscular. Especially if you have a little bit of extra fat on you and you have a lot of muscle, it's gonna actually make you look really big and jacked overall, both in clothes and out of clothes. But when you start losing fat, you're naturally gonna have to reduce your overall calorie and carb intake. That squeezes the sponge, emptying out those carbs from your muscles. When you couple that with a 10, 15, or 20 pound reduction in body fat, you'll find that you look smaller, softer, maybe even have like a sort of watery or scrawny appearance. A lot of the bodybuilders use the term flat here. There's this kind of ugly duckling stage where you're not yet lean enough to see crazy definition, but you're still deflated enough to not look full and muscular. You might actually think that you look worse than when you started because you're smaller. But if you let that get to your head, you're giving up right before the best results show up. It's like that meme of the guy mining for diamonds who's turning around right before he hits it big. Here are the 3 things you can do to make sure you stay the course when it matters most. Step 1 is to know that decreasing your food can hurt your look. That deflated, soft, and watery appearance you have is probably not you wasting away all your muscle as long as, you're still training and eating enough protein. When you bump your food back up, I guarantee you will see a noticeable improvement within even a couple weeks. Your baggy and awkwardly loose clothes that maybe don't fit anymore aren't helping you either. So let's update those with something that shows off your progress better. But the real power play is to remember that this is just a stepping stone. It's empowering to realize that fitness, fat loss, and physique development are a long-term game. It's not a 6-week or even a 6-month pursuit. Even though you just shook the Etch-a-Sketch and maybe you're a little surprised by what you saw after losing a few slabs of fat, this is still early days for you. There's a version of your physique that would literally make you and everyone in your life say, holy shit, I cannot even believe this is you. I mean, seriously, the other day I took a check-in video just to see where my physique is at, send it over to the coach and get some updates. And I actually cannot believe the way my body looks right now. For someone who was fateo my whole life, it's a fucking trip. Like, I actually feel like I look like a superhero. And if 16-year-old me could see what I look like, I think he would actually get emotional. Just by buckling into this for the long haul, committing to building muscle and losing fat, you make that version of you not a matter of luck, but just a matter of time. But honestly, none of this stuff will really matter if you can't get the scale moving reliably in the first place. So watch this video next, where I break down the exact system I used to lose 17 pounds in just 51 days that you can just copy paste into your own life to make losing fat a simple checklist you can follow.